This is the audio note revision for ESA 220. Just plug in. Also have your notes with you, any notes, and let's get started. So the standard that we are going to see is SQC 1, which is quality control for firms that perform audit and review of historical financial information and other assurance and related service engagement, along with ESA 220, which is quality control for an audit of financial statement. The standard starts as follows. Firms to have a system of quality control that provides a reasonable assurance that the firm and the personnel comply with the professional standards, regulatory and legal requirements, and reports issued by firm or parties are appropriate in the circumstances. So firstly is that they should comply with the standards and the report is also appropriate in the circumstances. So what are the elements of this system of quality control? First is leadership responsibility for quality within the firm. Next is ethical requirements. Next, acceptance and continuance of the client relationship. Next, human resources. Next, engagement performance. Finally, monitoring. So let us see it one by one, the elements of system of quality control. So the first one is the leadership responsibility for quality within a firm. So we are going to see it from the point of view of SQC1 and SA 220 also. So for SQC1, for the firm level, so firm to establish policies and procedures to promote internal culture that quality is essential. The firm should firstly have the policies and procedures to promote the internal culture that the quality is essential. Next, coming up with the next person, firm's CEO or the managing partners to assume the ultimate responsibility for the firm system of quality control. The firm should have that culture that quality is essential, and who is going to have the responsibility for the implementation? The firm CEO and managing partners. Then examples set by firm's leadership encourages inner culture that recognizes high quality audit work. Person assigned operational responsibility for quality should have experience, ability and authority. This is at the firm level. Now talking about at the audit level. So SA 220. The engagement partner shall take responsibility for overall quality on each audit engagement assigned. Actions of the engagement partner and appropriate messages to other members of the engagement team, they emphasize the importance to audit quality of performing work that complies with the professional, regulatory and legal requirements. Complying with the firm's quality control policies and procedure, issuing appropriate audit report, and engagement teams to ability to raise concerns without the fear of reprisal, and the fact that quality is essential in performing the audit. So here if you see, here also first we have the bigger responsibility, which is complying with the PRL requirements. Next with the little smaller responsibility, which is complying with the firm's quality control policies and procedures. Finally, because of that, the auditor's report will have to be appropriate, and the entity must be, if they find anything wrong, they should be able to raise concern without the fear of reprisal. So this is with regard to SA 220. Now, considerations which we should take into account if we want to uphold quality of the firm. So following considerations should be taken into account while upholding the quality of the firm, which is the firm's personnel, policies and procedures designed to demonstrate its commitment to quality. Then the firm should also devote sufficient resources for the development and documentation of quality control policies and procedure. Next, so firstly we should have the policies and procedure, and for that policies and procedures we should also have some resources. So to implement anything, we will need resources. So firstly, we should have the policies and procedures, and for that we will have to devote sufficient resources. Okay, we have the policies, we have the procedures, and who will see to it? So the responsibility is also to be assigned. So the firm assigns its management the responsibility that the commercial considerations do not override the quality of the work. So who will be responsible for that? The management is only going to be responsible for that. And before accepting an engagement, we'll have to acquire vital information about the client also, right? So firstly, we should have the policies and the procedures. Next, we should have the firm should devote sufficient resources for the development and documentation of quality, and then we should assign the management responsibility so that the commercial considerations do not override the quality. And before accepting engagement, we should also obtain vital information about the client. So what are the vital information that we are going to get? We should get about the integrity of the client, the promoters, the key managerial persons, and their competency. So which is capability, time and resources which is required to perform the engagement, and also to comply with the ethical requirements. So we should see if all these are present in here. So what are the ethical requirements as such they are required to comply with? They should comply with the confidentiality, integrity, objectivity, integrity, professional behavior, and professional competency. So all these things they will have to comply with. Then talking about independence. So what the firm should do? The firm should establish policies and procedures to provide with reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel, including both the expert and the network firm, that they maintain independence. So firm, its personnel, the expert and the network, they are maintaining independence. And the policies and the procedure should enable the firm to communicate the independence requirements. So firstly, we should communicate it to them. Next, we should identify and evaluate circumstances and relationship or breaches which create a threat for independence. So first we should communicate them. Next, we should also identify and see if there's any circumstances that could cause a threat to them. So what is that independence position and what is causing any threat to its existence? So all these things we'll have to communicate. And if at all there's going to be something like that, we should take appropriate action to eliminate the threat. Take appropriate action to eliminate the threat or reduce to the accepted level or withdraw from the engagement. So if at all anything is happening, we will have to take such actions also. Next, engagement partner provide relevant information about client to firm, and firm personnel notify firm of threat to independence. So if at all there is going to be any threat to independence, so firstly the engagement partner will notify information about the client to the firm. So EP will tell to the firm, and the firm's personnel notify the firm of threat to independence. Okay, next, all breaches of independence should be promptly notified to the firm so that they can take appropriate action, so that they can have another engagement partner. And annually, the firm should obtain written confirmation of compliance with independence from all the personnel. And familiarity threat is relevant in financial statement audit of listed entities. So the EP should be rotated for after every 7 years. They will have to be rotated. So this is about the independence. So for what is the point we saw? We should communicate and we should identify and evaluate if there is any threat for the independence, and we should also take appropriate action to eliminate such a threat. All these things will have to be done. Next, acceptance and continuance of the client relationship and engagement. Information such as following assist the EP in determining whether decision regarding the acceptance and the continuance of audit engagement are appropriate. So how we will decide, can we continue with this firm, can we continue here or not? How we are going to see is that firstly we will see about the integrity. Okay, one is integrity of the client the promoters and the key managerial persons. So first is the integrity. Next is the competency, including the capabilities, time and resources to perform the engagement. So integrity, competency, followed by the compliance with the ethical requirements. Integrity, competence, and compliance with the ethical requirements. Next, significant matters arisen during current or previous audit engagement and their implementation. So did we see anything which is fishy? So integrity, competence, compliance with the ethical requirements, significant matters which arose during the current or previous audit engagement and what are their implications. So all these things are going to be checked in the acceptance and continuance of client relationship. Next, about how to evaluate the integrity of the client. With regard to integrity of the client, matters that the firm should consider include identity and the business reputation of the client, principal owners, key management, related parties, and those charged with governance. Then reasons for the proposed appointment of the firm and non-reappointment of the previous firm. Next, nature of the client's operation, including the business practices, attitude of the client's owners, key management, and those charged with governance towards accounting standards and internal control environment. Whether the client is aggressively concerned with maintaining the firm's fees as low as possible, indication of inappropriate limitation in scope of work, indication that the client might be involved in money laundering or other criminal activities. So all these things we are going to consider before we go about evaluating the integrity of the client. So what are those? The reputation, about them, the reputation, then what is their operation and what is their attitude towards accounting standards and internal control environment. Next, about them, whether they are aggressively concerned with maintaining the fees as low as possible. Next, about them again, whether they are involved in money laundering, and about us and them, why are they wanting to appoint as reason for the proposed appointment and non-reappointment of the previous firm, and between us if there is any inappropriate limitation on the scope of work. So all these things will have to be considered. Next, matters to be considered in determining the firm's competency, capability, time, and resources. Whether the firm personnel have knowledge of the relevant industry or subject matter. So do they have the knowledge? Next, whether they have the experience with the regulatory or reporting requirements. So do they have the knowledge and do they have the experience with the regulatory or reporting requirements? And do they have sufficient personnel with the necessary competence, capability? So do they have the enough people in that? That also we should see. And we should see if the experts are available if needed. So do we have the knowledge, do they have the experience, or do they have enough people? So firstly we should see if they have sufficient personnel, and we should see if they have knowledge and experience, and if at all outside beyond that, if we need any expert, will they be available? Then individuals meeting criteria and eligibility requirements to perform EQCR or available. So EQCR is also available or not, we should see. Then the firm able to complete engagement within the reporting deadline. Will they be able to finish the entire thing within the deadline that is given? So these are the matters to be considered in determining the firm's capability, competence, time, and resources. So one more time, do we have the sufficient personnel with the necessary capability and competence? So do they have the knowledge of the relevant industry and the subject matter? Next, do they have the experience with what regulatory and reporting requirements? Next, are there enough experts available in there? Next, do the individuals meeting the criteria to perform the EQCR are available, and the firm is able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline? So are all these people available, or is it sufficient, is what we should see. Moving on, withdrawal from the engagement. If at all we want to withdraw from the engagement, so we often see this in various standards also. So let's move ahead. So withdrawal from the engagement. So if at all we plan to withdraw from the engagement, we should discuss with the client management and also with those charged with governance. So the management also we should do, and we should also communicate with those charged with governance also regarding the action that the firm might take. If the firm is wanting to withdraw, we should discuss with them the withdrawal and why we are going to withdraw. Okay, so we will discuss with them the action that we are going to take, and if we decide to withdraw, then we will discuss about the withdrawal and why we want to withdraw, all those things. Then considering the PRL recommends to report withdrawal with reasons to regulatory authority. So we will also communicate it to the, we will also consider the any other legal, professional, regulatory and legal requirements for that also we will consider. Then so we will also communicate to the management and those charged with governance. We will also communicate with the outside people. I mean those we will also consider the professional, regulatory and legal requirements also. Okay, now after that, document significant issues, conclusions and consultations based on and a basis for the conclusion. So what and all has happened, everything we'll have to document it. That is what is given. Next, human resources. Policies and procedures for reasonable assurance that the firm has sufficient personnel with capabilities, competence and commitment to ethical principles and to perform engagement as per the PRL requirements. So already we have seen with regard to capabilities, competence, time and resources that there should be sufficient personnel. So here also we should first see if there is sufficient personnel is there or not. Then and to perform the engagement as per the PRL recommends, and the EP should issue the appropriate report is to be given, right? Such policy. So what are the policies with regard to the personnel is that the recruitment, training, the performance evaluation, the compensation and career development, all these things, it should be included in the policy with regard to the personnel. And the firm should also assign responsibility for each engagement to the engagement partner. So every engagement will be in the hands of an engagement partner. The firm should establish policies and procedure requiring that identify and role of engagement partner communicated to clients, management and those charged with governance. Engagement partner has the capability, competency, authority and time. Responsibilities of the engagement partner are clearly defined and communicated to that partner. So we should identify the role of the engagement partner, and that should be communicated to the client also. So who's the engagement partner and their role should be communicated. We should also see that the engagement partner has a capability, authority and time, and the responsibility of the EP are clearly defined, and we should also communicate to that partner. So responsibility of EP, you should communicate to them. The role of the EP, we should communicate to the management and the TCWG. But before that, we should see if he has a capability, competency, authority and the time he's having, we should see. Then engagement performance. Consistency in quality of engagement performance is achieved through briefing of engagement teams and their objectives. So we should have regular meeting. Then the process of engagement supervision and training, appropriate documentation of the work performed, a process of complying with the engagement standards, a method of reviewing performance of work. So this way we can ensure the engagement performance is fine. We have a short 1 minute break. I have few sips of water. Please stay hydrated as well. Now, with regard to the audit engagement, what is the role of the engagement partner? So, the engagement partner has the responsibility for direction, supervision and the performance of audit. And he is also responsible for the auditor's report that it should be appropriate. So the engagement partner has responsibility for the direction, supervision, and the performance of the audit, and he is also responsible for that the audit report is to be appropriate. Further, review of audit documentation before issue of audit report is his responsibility. So he should check the documentation before the issuance of the audit report, and he should ensure that the sufficient appropriate audit evidence is obtained to support the conclusion reached. So firstly, it is his duty to see about the direction, supervision, and the performance of audit. Next, he is responsible that the audit report is being appropriate. Then before that, he should have got enough evidence to support the conclusion, and documentation is also his responsibility. Next, moving on, consultation. When can we take the consultation? Consultation should be taken in a difficult or contentious matter pertaining to engagement. This includes discussion with the individuals. They can be either within or outside the firm, and they should have specialized expertise. So the point here is difficult or contentious matter, and we can include discussion with the individuals within or outside the firm with who has specialized knowledge. Alright, now while reviewing the work performed by less experienced members of the engagement, more experienced members like people who have less experience, their work is being reviewed by members who are having more experience. Okay, so this reviewer, so what and all he will consider? So firstly, starting with the PRL requirements, he should consider. So professional, legal, and regulatory requirements he should consider. Next, he will see that the work is supporting the conclusion, but for that evidence has to be obtained. So evidence is sufficient, then work is supporting the conclusion. Above all, the objective should have been finally achieved. Alright, but if at all there is some significant matter that is should be raised for further consideration, then consultation has been appropriate consultation, and conclusion, if any, has to be documented, and it is to be implemented also. Then there is a need to revise the nature, timing, and extent of work performed or not. So firstly, we should see if the work performed is as per the PRL requirements. Then significant matter, if it has been raised for further consideration. Then appropriate consultation and resulting conclusion has been documented and implemented. Then there is a need to revise the nature, timing, and extent of the work performed. The work performed supports the conclusion reached and is appropriately documented. Evidence obtained is sufficient and appropriate to support the report, and objective of the engagement procedure have been achieved. So all these things they should see. Next is about the engagement quality control reviewer. So engagement quality control reviewer. So who can be an engagement quality control reviewer? A partner, other person in firm, who is a member of ICAI, or any qualified external person or team of such individuals with the experience and authority. They can be the engagement quality control reviewer. So to objectively evaluate before report is issued, significant judgment the engagement team made, and conclusion reached in formulating the report. So all these things they should see. So they will evaluate the report before it is being issued. If there is any significant judgment, that also they will see, and any conclusion reached, that also they will see. So what he will review? He will review the significant judgments. Okay, and extent of review depends upon the complexity of the engagement and risk that a report might be inappropriate. So they will see if there is any complex thing that is involved, and because of that could there be any reason that the report might be inappropriate. So is it important for all? It is actually important for listed entities, but for others, if they want, they can have an EQCR. So what is the responsibility here? So engagement partner shall take responsibility for reviews being performed as per the firm's review policy. For audit of financial statement of listed entities, engagement partner, he will see that do we have the EQCR or not, and discuss the significant matters. So you already told, no, significant judgment, if there is anything he will see, and if this is going to depend upon the complexity and if at all the report might be inappropriate. So firstly he will see if the EQCR is appointed or not, and with him if he finds any significant matters, that he will discuss with the EQCR, and till the time the EQCR report is done, he will not date the audit report. That is, he will not give the audit report until the EQCR is completed, and this EQCR should be complete before the audit report is right. So moving on now, EQCR for audit of listed entities should consider the following aspects. So what and all the EQCR will consider? So will he consider the PRL requirement? No, because that will be considered by the reviewer. So reviewer will see the PRL requirement. Will he see the significant matter? No, he will not see a significant matter, because that is also done by the reviewer. Review of work performed by less experienced member, by more experienced member, that it will be same. So here what he will see the independence, then he will see the significant risk or any judgment. So judgment with regard to materiality or significant risk he will see. Then he will see whether appropriate consultation have taken place. Okay, so there also we have appropriate consultation, here also we have appropriate consultation. With regard to difference of opinion, difficult or contentious matter and conclusions. So all these things he will see. Then significance and disposition of corrected and uncorrected misstatements identified during the engagement. If there is any misstatement, he will see how significant is that. Then matters to be communicated to management and those charged with governance and regulatory bodies. So all those things also he will see. Whether working paper selected for review reflects the work performed in relation to significant judgment and support the conclusion. So do we have the proper working paper? So there they are not saying that. There they are saying if evidence is obtained is sufficient, then the report is supporting the conclusion and the objective are achieved. That is there we are seeing. Here we are seeing about the working paper. Okay. And then appropriateness of the report to be issued. So there we are telling whether the where do we see the report? Evidence is sufficient and appropriate to support this report. Here we are seeing if the report is appropriate. Okay, so this is what the EQCR will do for listed entities. Then documentation by EQCR. So what and all he will document to showcase that he has performed his work. So he will document the procedures required. So what and all procedure is required by the firm's policy. So that procedure he will do. And he will tell that yes, I have done the EQCR before the issuance of the audit report. And that I am not aware of any unresolved matter. And I believe, and that would cause the reviewer to believe that such significant judgment, engagement team made and conclusion were not appropriate. So he will tell that I do not know any unresolved matter that could rise to significant judgment, and the conclusion because of that will not be appropriate. So there is nothing unresolved that could lead to significant judgment, and eventually that the conclusion itself will not be appropriate. Like that I do not see anything. So everything is resolved, and significant judgment and the conclusion, they are appropriate. That is, I am not aware of any unresolved matter, and I do not believe that there is, I do believe that there is no other significant judgment or conclusion which could lead to things that could not be appropriate. Okay, so everything is resolved, and the judgment, significant judgment is also appropriate, the conclusion is also appropriate. So he's saying everything is fine. Next, EQCR shall objectively evaluate significant judgment and conclusion reached in preparing the audit report. So we already saw, no? So significant judgment only he will see. He will not see what? He will not see significant matters. So he will see only significant judgment. So significant judgment means with regard to materiality and risk. So Mr. J. Okay, materiality and discuss with regard to the significant judgment. So there, what and all he will do is that he will discuss the significant matters with the EP. Okay, and he will review the financial statements and propose the auditor's report, then review selected audit documentation relating to significant judgment and the conclusion reached, evaluating the conclusion reached and preparing the audit report and whether the proposed audit report is appropriate. All these things he will see. Firstly, he will discuss significant matters with the engagement partner. Next, he will review the financial statements and the proposed audit report. So what matter is there? Then, okay, show me the financial statement. Then what is the audit report that you are going to give? Then documentation that we have done properly. Then conclusion is reached properly. So review selected audit documentation relating to this judgment and conclusion. Right, then evaluating the conclusion reached in preparing and proposed audit report is appropriate or not. So he will see if the audit report is appropriate. So both the last 2 points is similar to what the question itself is telling for us. So what he will see with regard to significant judgment and conclusions, we use the significant matter. Then he will see 2 things: a base document, final document, financial statement and report. So review of the financial statement and the proposed audit report. Okay, people, it's time to have a sip of water and then we'll keep moving forward. Next, moving on, firms' policies and procedure are determined or designed to maintain objectivity of EQCR. For example, EQCR is not selected by the engagement partner and do not participate in the engagement during period of review, does not make a decision for engagement team and other considerations that would threaten the objectivity. Okay, and can this person consult engagement quality reviewer during engagement? Yeah, he can do that, but it should not affect the objectivity of the can EP consult the EQCR? Yeah, you can do that, but as long as it does not affect the objectivity of the EQCR. And if at all there is going to be any difference of opinion, and he should make sure that he can consult within the engagement team first. Within those consulted or between the EP and the EQCR, the engagement team shall follow the firm's policies and procedure for dealing with that, and they should resolve the difference of opinion. Otherwise, we can consult another practitioner or firm or a professional or a regulatory body. So outside consultation also we can do. Alright, now moving on to engagement documentation. So what we have already seen about documentation. So here, assembly of the engagement, assembly of the final engagement file is to be done on a timely basis. In case of audit, the time limit is not more than 60 days after the date of audit report, where 2 or more reports are issued for the same subject matter of entity. Each report is treated as a separate engagement for time limit of assembly of audit file. So if there is 2 or more different report for the same subject matter, but 2 or more different report, okay, then each report is treated as a separate engagement. So for each we are going to have assembly time of 60 days after the date of the audit report, and retention period is no shorter than 7 years from the date of the audit report, which is for a period of 7 years. Definitely you should have the books retained. Then ownership of engagement documentation. ED is the proprietor of the firm. Firm may make proportions or extracts available to the client, provided it does not undermine the validity of the work performed or for assurance engagement, independence of firm or personnel. Okay, so you can give it to them, but it should not undermine the validity of the work performed. So if it is not demeaning it, you can give. Then electronic and physical form of documentation. Establish policies and procedures to maintain CAR, which is confidentiality, accessibility, retrievability. So okay, this CAR. So if at all we are going to put in the electronic form, there should be this CAR, which is integrity, safe custody, confidentiality, accessibility, retrievability, integrity, safe custody, confidentiality, acceptability, and retrievability of the engagement documentation. Where engagement documentation is in paper or electronic form, integrity, accessibility, and retrievability of data, it might be compromised. How? If it is which is altered, added or deleted. If it is altered or added or deleted, that could be a compromise of our ISCAR. For practical purpose, we should ensure that it is maintained in both the original and in the electronic form. It has to be maintained. In that case, the firm implements policies requiring engagement team to generate the scanned copies of the entire content of the original documentation. So for the entire thing, even though it's a physical form, we are going to take up the scanned copies of it. Not just that, we should integrate the scanned copies into the engagement file, including indexing and signing off on scanned copies. So we do not want one original copy to have one original version to have two copies. So it should have indexing and signing off also. So we will generate, then we will integrate, then enable the scanned copy to be retrieved and printed as necessary. So whenever you want, you should be able to get it back also. So we already seen confidentiality, accessibility, retrievability. So similarly, we should generate, integrate, and we should enable it to be retrieved and printed as necessary. Next is about the monitoring. So what we will monitor? Yeah. So what we will monitor, firstly, bigger thing, we should see whether new developments in PRL requirements is reflected in the quality control policy. So bigger thing is also reflected in the quality control policy or not. Then we should see that this quality control system is appropriately defined and also effectively implemented. So we will see the PRL new developments in the PRL are there in the quality control, and this quality control is also appropriately designed and effectively implemented. Then we should monitor by entrusting responsibility of the monitoring process to a partner or other person with experience and authority. So we are telling that could be new developments, and that has to be integrated in the quality control, and this quality control system should also be appropriately designed and effectively implemented. So there should be a person to see if all these things are happening. So we should conduct the monitoring by entrusting the responsibility of monitoring process to a person, to a partner or other persons with experience and authority. Then dealing with complaints and allegations against firm or employees of non-compliance with PRL requirements, taking appropriate remedial actions against personnel who did not conform to quality control policies. So we should see if there are any allegations or complaints. Next, we should take remedial actions, and if we see any deficiencies, then we should also take action for the same. This is about monitoring. Next, about documentation. What and all we will document? Firstly, we will document what is the nature, scope and conclusion. Okay, not just inside. We will see what is the, no, we will start it from here. What we will mainly document is that with regard to the ethical requirements, do we have any issues? So issues with regard to compliance with the relevant ethical requirements and how we have resolved them. So do we have any issues with the requirements and how they have been resolved? Next, conclusion reached regarding the acceptance and continuance of the client relationship. So ethical requirements is fine or not? If not, then are we corrected? Next, what is the conclusion with regard to the acceptance and continuance of the client relationship? Then conclusion with complaints of independence requirements and discussion with firm that supports these conclusions. So first point and third point are more similar. So ethical requirements, what is the problem? Next, I think we can talk about the independence. What is the problem? Next, did we concerned with regard to the acceptance and continuance of the client relationship? What is the nature, scope and conclusion resulting from the consultation consultation. So did we take any consultation during the audit engagement? What is the conclusion with regard to that? Alright, now small pointers with regard to peer review and QRB. So what is a peer review? So examination and review of systems and procedures, okay, systems and procedures of whom to determine whether the same has been put in place by the practice unit, to see if the system and procedure have been put in place by the practice unit for ensuring quality of assurance services. Okay, so if the systems and procedure are put properly by the practice unit for ensuring quality of assurance services, which is required by the TPE standards. So peer review board is constituted by the Council of ICAA, and the main objective is to ensure that the TPE is followed and they have proper system. A proper system is that TPE is followed. Only two main things. On completion of the exercise, peer review certificate is issued by and is issued in case of unqualified report by the peer reviewer. In case of qualified report, is informed by the practicing unit that the same cannot be issued with reasons and inform about the due date for follow on and review decided by the board. So then they'll again give up follow up procedures and they will see if we can issue it or not. Right, and moving on to quality review board. So this is set up by the central government. It consists of members which is nominated by central government and ICAA. So two people are coming together. This quality review board. So two people should review. So central government and ICAA. So what are the functions of the quality review board? They will make a recommendation to the council. Okay. Then they will review the quality. So the name itself tells us they will review the quality of services provided by members and guide members of ICAA to improve the quality. So they will review, they will guide, finally they will make recommendation to the council itself. So all these things will be done by the quality review board, and this review is carried out by the technical members who are empaneled by the quality review board. Talking about our favorite friend NAFRA. So what are the duties of the NAFRA? So it's always about the accounting and the auditing standards. So they will see if you're complying with the accounting and the auditing standards, and they will oversee the quality of the services that they are providing, and they will also investigate the auditors of any listed insurance, banking or other companies in Rule 3 of NAFRA rules. Okay, and they can also review the quality of services provided by members other than those specified. Okay, so they can inspect anyone. So this is with regard to the audit notes, audio notes. We will see in the next segment with regard to questions from SA 220 and SQC 1.